First thing on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes from May 14th, 2024, and August 6th, 2025. So has everyone, I'm
We
assuming?
don't have a quorum, so we can't approve them anyway.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay. I did have some questions on one of those. The meeting from George is on his way.
Okay.
What do you want to hold off? If we get George, do we have a quorum then?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, then we can wait for George.
No one out there.
He's on his way.
Oh, is he on? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have a meeting.
Yep. Anyway, my question, I guess, probably wouldn't bear, it's probably more informational than anything.
Was it in the minutes?
Yeah. About, let's see here. There were, Tyler, there were like 13, I don't even see it in here now. Items, I think it was from the,
Oh, I see. The May 14th meeting.
yeah. Yes, yeah. So were those all, are those still outstanding, or the conditions for the approval of the final subdivision of the,
I am, is this the 2024 meeting or the?
yes, May,
Oh, got it, I'm looking at the wrong.
yeah, May 24th. That was for the, Westwood
Oh,
subdivision.
got it. So the first one, no, because all that was squared away. Gas line placement.
So number one was,
Yeah,
that's okay, I mean, that's done, or checked off, or whatever.
yeah, I think number two was as well. Boy, this is quite a while ago.
I know.
Open space, yeah, that was taken care of. Number three. Number four was taken care of. Number five, yes. 6, yeah, they updated those. 7. Yeah, that's fine, because the development hasn't moved forward, so no building permits have been issued.
Okay.
Mailboxes, yeah, that was taken care of. Number 8. Number 9. I believe number 9 was part of it as well. Monument, yeah, that hasn't been built yet. 11 was taken care of. Stormwater agreement. Number 12, I don't remember on that one. 13, funds, security maintenance, not yet. And a big part of it is because nothing has taken place over there yet, so the subdivision was approved and the subdivision improvement agreement was a part of that. It has a 2-year window on it before it expires. City council can always extend it if they want to. The gentleman, the developer who brought it across the finish line for approval, has since put it on the market, and so he's not going to be carrying it forward. And so unless someone else steps in and we don't extend the subdivision improvement agreement, basically everything is,
At wash?
with the exception of the plat being approved. The subdivision improvement agreement, all the terms, all that's gone away. The plat is still the plat. So it's all approved on paper to be broken out the way that it's designed. Eventually, civil plans would probably have to be reviewed again if things have changed. If someone just picked it up in 3 years and said, I'll have to go forward with this, we'd have to enter into a new agreement, but they would still have the plat itself approved. And so all those conditions would be tied, a lot of them would be tied to the SIA, so we'd have to revisit some of those.
Okay.
Didn't we approve ARPA funds for some of that stuff?
Yeah, those have an expiration date on it. That was part of the subdivision improvement agreement. And so by the end of next year, those are supposed to be allocated, is that the right word? And so if they're not going to be used for,
No, they're supposed to be obligated already, and then we potentially could lose them if they're not used up by December 31st of next year.
yeah, so realistically, the timeline that's in place for that to happen is, unless someone came in tomorrow and hit the ground running, not likely to happen, so those funds will likely be shifted elsewhere to other projects or other purposes in town.
Do we have a deadline for when we would shift those to another,
It's a few months prior. We've talked about it at the staff level,
do we have a?
and then
$900 a minute.
I just need probably 2 or 3 months, and then we can spend it pretty quickly.
Okay.
Okay, now George is here.
Made it. Thank you for the call.
We will reopen and recall to order the meeting, and we'll start with the approval of the minutes from the commission meetings from May 14th, 2024, and August 6th, 2025.
Move we approve the meeting minutes for May 14th, 2024, and August 6th of 2025.
Okay?
A
It's been
second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not? We'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So we'll move on to our new business, which is the sketch plan for the major subdivision of Homestead Meadows Phase 3, 14 new lots in this phase. And so we'll open this meeting and we'll start with Tyler.
All right. Reset the clicker. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. So, yeah, the major subdivision, 14, thank you, Lorenda, 14 additional lots, which would be the third phase for the subdivision Homestead Meadows. So this is a major, considered a major subdivision because it's more than 4 lots as our code states. There's the 2 processes up on the screen, the minor subdivision and the major subdivision. So we're on the sketch plan on the bottom line there for the PC Planning Commission. So this is a public meeting, not a public hearing. So we didn't have to put all the necessary mailings out and postings and whatnot for a public meeting. But we know that this topic has garnished a lot of conversation through the years. So we try to draw a little more attention to it. So we have one audience member here, at least in person. I don't know if anybody's joining us virtually tonight. I believe the applicant is probably, at least that's what their plan was, is to join us virtually since he's on the other side of the world. As a clarifier for a sketch plan, there's no formal action taken. This is more just feedback from the Planning Commission on the concept overall, that yes, we think it can be supported, no, we can't. And then conditions either way, it would make sense if we did this, and just overall feedback for the applicant on them wanting to pursue this whole process. So then the next one would be to take any feedback. If it makes sense, yeah, go forward, but do these things, incorporate those into the preliminary plat, and we bring those back when that's completed with all the necessary documentation, and then same process again. But that'll be a formal public meeting with the, or public hearing with the proper notifications, and then it goes to So we just go back, and then it goes to city council, they do the same thing, and then it goes to do the final plat process. So it could be as quick as a few months, it could take as long as 6 years, like Westwood did. So here is the plan, is those lots right there. So everything on the north side of the blue line and everything on the east side of the blue line, straight down, all that's been developed into 2 separate phases overall. Originally, the subdivision was approved back in 1998, and the first phase was those 24 lots on the north side. And then in 2019, Phase 2 on the east side for 12 lots was approved and then constructed. There was 12 conditions that were approved back in 2019 as part of Phase 2. So this proposal would include the construction, of course, all the public improvements that are relevant to this area, how far past and that kind of thing is all to be determined. There is a 6-inch water line that's already been looped through the subdivision that was put in back when it was originally constructed. And then the sewer line is in place, and then it's stubbed out to the south and then to the west, so it's easier to tie in for the future overall. This is the original preliminary plat that was approved back in 1998, so the whole concept to be built out. Of course, small modifications could be changed along the way as each phase goes on. I was looking through the conditions that were put in back in 2019, and one of them was a temporary cul-de-sac along the edge of Jennifer Circle on the southeast corner as it goes back to the west to be constructed. That actually never was completed. If you've been over there where the road comes down, where Beth Drive starts from the north, it's been kind of just a drive-through loop that a lot of people have utilized since it was put in place. And so it's just kind of been left as is. So if this was to go forward, a temporary cul-de-sac would need to be constructed again at the end of Beth Drive there. And on Jennifer Circle, the one that was never completed, I think that would definitely have to be something that was done as well.
What do you mean temporary cul-de-sac?
So for turnaround for emergency vehicles and things
Oh,
like
gotcha,
that.
okay.
Yeah. That's the crux of it all there. So all weather surface was the condition that we had before. So civil designs were done as part of the original plans as well. I put those in the packet as well. Those would need to be reviewed. So again, this was done back in 1998 with the civil plans. And requirements have probably changed on our level. I was looking, this is an example of the drainage plan itself. It just shows berms and swales. It doesn't show a whole lot of movement. And so if this was to get phased out with Beth Drive with those lots, I can't tell from this which direction the water is going to flow and drain. The only way realistically it could would be if it all ran back to the east and then to the north to tie in up there and then come around Jennifer Circle. There was an issue when we had that really bad storm last time that the stormwater pond that was designed to accommodate all this was inundated, as were other areas in town, so it wasn't exclusive to this. But I live across the park there, and I was curious to know what it looked like over there. And so Jennifer Circle was underwater, and it was very, very deep up by where the swell goes to the east, up to some of the houses even. So again, that's not a failure so much in the stormwater system, just a lot of rain, but something to consider that as things get built out, it can just be reanalyzed with, again, updated civil plan review. I think would be a big component of that as well. One of the previous conditions also recommended, it didn't require because we didn't have the authority to do so, but recommended that the developer institute and enforce the HOA, the covenants, conditions, and restrictions as it declared in Article 4, Section 1. Article 5 of those CCRs states that only after 60% of the lots have been sold will the CCR begin to operate. And so Article 4, it gives the right for the developer to enforce those CCRs, but again, it doesn't require them to do it. And the condition was that we recommend that you start implementing those, because one of the comments come back from the community through the years has just been the visual quality of things there. So just a lot of sheds and stuff. just kind of sitting around, not always the cleanest look. So this subdivision would actually put the entire thing past that threshold, that 60% threshold, which is what states that when that happens, after 60% of the lots have been sold, the CCR will begin to operate. So there's currently right now 36 of the proposed 72 total lots, which of course is 50% if you do your math well. So this would cross over that 60%, trigger the initiation of the HOA, which if implemented would provide the opportunity for accountability in the neighborhood, for neighbors to hold each other, hold their feet to the fire on making sure things do look good. I was reading through the original 1998 HOA, and from my perspective, it was a little bit confusing on how that would be structured, because it refers to a architectural committee and the formation of that, but doesn't really refer to the formation of the HOA itself. So I don't know if that committee is meant to serve as the HOA governing board.
I saw that too, Tyler, and I was wondering, because you read further down and it talked about corporation, it ties in with the corporation laws of Colorado under the Article 5 Association, Section 1. It talked like, let's see, after 60% of the lots have been sold by the declarant, the association, as defined in Section 1, Article 1 of this declaration, shall be organized under the corporation laws of the state of Colorado.
Okay.
So I don't know what that, I mean, I don't know what the corporate laws of state of Colorado is when it comes to an HOA.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That's definitely a legal question that we could inquire and get some clarity on. And whatever the laws are that they're referring to back in 1998, they could have changed since then too.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I was just gonna tell, do you want us to ask our questions along the way, or do you want to do your whole spill first, or?
your call. I don't actually have a whole lot more on the report itself.
Oh, okay,
I think it's
okay.
gonna be more discussion and that
Okay.
kind of thing. Our review criteria, just as an FYI for the sketch plan, does have a whole list of things that are required. But because this is not a standalone subdivision, it's just another phase of a subdivision, a lot of those early requirements, I don't think are really necessary at this stage of it, and our code gives me the ability to make that call or not. So a lot of it was done back in 1998, more of it was done in 2019. So if this does go forward, all those other elements that would typically be required, we would certainly require by the next phase that our code does speak about. So this is really, again, just a conceptual aspect of it on concerns, things that you love, things that you hate, and that sort of thing. For me, it really kind of boils down to these aspects here. So again, the sketch plan, this concept, looking for feedback. So the civil plans, definitely a review on those to ensure that those truly are up to snuff, and then follow through closely in their implementation. The HOA implementation as well, that being a big factor in my perspective from a community standpoint, based on feedback that we've gotten throughout history on an opportunity for things to maybe turn around over there. And then the third one is going forward, all the requirements for a major subdivision. This would definitely be a factor in with that. I haven't had the conversation with the applicant as to why they only want to do just the 12 as opposed to building the rest of it out. There could be a lot of different reasons.
12 or 14?
Or 14, I'm sorry. And completing Beth Drive and Jennifer Circle all the way back out to County Road 26 and having a full build out. But again, I guess it's somewhat relative on how they've built out so far, quantity wise, but that's just a comment. It doesn't really matter so much one way or another. So that's pretty much all I got for the report, so I'll take it back your way for questions.
Well, so my other question, Tyler, I've got a ton of comments on this because we've had a few other developments that developed, and then after we were done, we kicked ourselves and said we should have thought about this or that, right? And then I also recognize this has been a development going on for many years. Times have changed a lot. And then I also want to try and make sure that we're handling all the subdivisions somewhat equally. Everything's not always perfectly the same, but if one subdivision's having requirements, the other one probably should have the same type of requirements. And then this one in particular, I've been around on 2 of the expansions, and then I always remember challenges with the developer, the things that they were saying they're gonna do, and then also quality issues, but quality of things is different than this process, I understand that. But I can go over some of my comments, but each one could take a lot of discussion, but it might be more when you do your review with the engineering that we touch on those. So there might just be food for thought versus.
Did you want to give at least a rundown of them? maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
And then the other thing is there was a lot of discussions on the phase 2, but no particular order. But we had talked about when they went to phase 2, we had to start thinking about there are more kids going to be out there going to school. And up in the northeast corner, there were discussions about they're going to put in a concrete path that led to the school district's property to start getting at least something for the kids to walk on. And then also down, and there's a few code violations we said they had to clean up too. And then on the south, so that was the northeast corner, there's a easement, and it's supposed to be a path. Don't know if it ever got concreted or not.
It did, and it's like a foot wide, and the cars that live in that corner park on it.
Okay, so you see how that's my concern, we gotta be careful on these things when I was expecting walk-in bike path,
No,
type style.
it's pretty narrow.
Yeah, and then down on the southeast corner, there's another, it says a drainage swell, but we're also talking a number of years ago, I think 2019 or something like that, that probably there should be a second, as they're growing, we need to get more connectivity directly to the school for the kids to walk on, but also connecting to our trail system. So just like we asked Westwood, connect to our trail system or sidewalk somewhere, I think these guys should be looking at about the same thing. So that's just, as you talk to, do the engineering review in the subdivision, part of my memory tells me that when they asked to start doing this in parts, phases, that we agreed to go to phase 2, but then before we went to phase 3, I thought that was the trigger to get the next access point onto 26. That's kind of my recollection. I could be wrong, but I thought, we talked about those streets being really, really narrow and a lot of cars park on it. And the more we keep funneling them back through, traffic flows might not be right.
Yeah, everything's congested on Jennifer Circle
Mhm.
at that one entrance point
Yeah.
for the whole subdivision.
So that's just one of my
Yeah,
recollections.
I agree with that, yeah.
Financial security, gotta make sure we do that as well in this next phase. I already talked about connectivity, schools and bike path. What I didn't understand, Tyler, and you might not know this, but know the answer to it now, but we can research it. And it may be irrelevant, I'm not sure. But on the very first agreement, it said that they had 7 years to get this done. Then after that, we could mutually extend this subdivision. Do you know if we did anything in the past that said we mutually agreed with the original subdivision plans to extend? I saw that in there just a little while ago. I didn't know
No,
if that really
that's the
mattered.
first I'd heard of that, so that would have put it in 2005, Karen Schmink's timeframe, and so I don't know if she has anything in her file.
Yeah,
about it.
so I just read that piece of it.
Wouldn't that be recorded?
Yeah, and we should have it somewhere, but I don't know if going into phase 2 means that we mutually agreed to move on. Maybe it's not, I just saw that wording. School impact fees, they should know about those. Prairie dogs, I thought a while back there were prairie dogs there, maybe they're gone now, I don't know. Chuck, any prairie dogs out there? There used to be years ago.
Currently not,
Okay, good.
but,
But So like with our other development, there are prairie dogs there, then now it's become an issue, so, but if there's none there, it's not an issue. Drainage review, I agree, we need to relook at the drainage, because the way we do drainage now, the new formulas that the state uses or requires, they're different than years ago. But Dell can help with that. Any comments from the county commissioners? I didn't know but if you didn't post it as a public hearing, you might not have sent out anything to the commissioners.
Yeah, I said nothing to the county at this point.
Other question was land dedications. Did they do land dedications way back, or were they doing it by phases?
Well, based on how it was originally laid out, I don't know of any land dedications that were done, because the whole
Yeah, I don't recall
thing is
that.
laid out just.
The only one was that walkway like you were talking about on the northeast corner,
Yeah.
and that's,
Well, back in 1998, that was before our new code was adopted too, in 2007 or 8, whatever that was.
So does this fall under the new code, the old code? That's what I was thinking about it, because I was going through
Yeah,
this.
good question.
You already talked about the HOA. Did they install the streetlights, the next so many streetlights on phase 2?
I think, well, I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't thought about that in years.
Okay. Yeah, because I think they're supposed to put in some, but I don't know if that's ever done. And so HOA review, and, oh, just the last time, I just know, after they start putting in the houses, the city got calls from people out there that were upset because just the grading plans and everything, the water was going back to the houses, not away from the houses, concrete, and that was quality of the contractor, but something to think about. And those are my 30-minute review, that's thoughts about it. But
One comment that's relevant enough, I guess, is the state of Colorado has taken on almost all aspects of modular, the whole modular housing aspect. So if they're supposed to go forward here or anywhere else in town where modular is going to go down, the foundation plan, it's got to be an engineered foundation plan. So we receive that, and then we provide the oversight for the construction and the inspections for that part. The house itself now has to be sold by a authorized through the state of Colorado seller, and it has to be installed through someone who's certified through the state of Colorado as well. So the state of Colorado has their own inspector for that whole process. If they add anything to the house on site that wasn't done at the factory, we come back into that. And I say that only because the state has a much larger role now in the construction part of modulars and the placement of modulars than it did when this was originally built.
yeah. So, other last thing, more of a code thing. It looks like someone has their modular, but behind it, they built a RV port, carport for an RV, and they have a big RV under it, but it looks like people are living in it. And,
In that corner one.
yeah, you know what I'm talking
I
about?
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's what it appears
But
like.
yeah, you can't tell for sure by looking at it if it's just a storage or
Yeah.
if someone is actually living there. But I think we talked about that one
Yeah.
time.
But it's more of a code thing, but
Yeah.
I just.
Um, And the other thing is, I don't know, maybe the whole thing needs to be upgraded as an as-built, you know? I mean, to bring in everything that was on here but either didn't get done or got done differently than what we have here. For instance, Prairie Road, which is parallel with Road 26, I don't think there's a Prairie Road there, is there?
No, I think that might have been the name that was given to 26. They just threw it on there.
It shows it inside the development.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we annex county property, don't we only take over half the road?
This one, well, not anymore, can't do that anymore with state, it's all or nothing, but when this was done, it was just half, so.
So that's why it's showing it, it's only half the road. It's not actually in the development,
the
that's
side
Road
that-
26.
Correct.
And that half of the 26 is called Prairie Road.
The half that's annexed into the city.
Why don't they put it on Road 26 rather
That
than
is Road
inside the
26.
property?
Well,
That's the part
because it
that's
shows
annexed.
the, yeah, so your property line is half to the center line of the road.
The property line for Homestead
So this right
goes,
here,
they can't,
this right here is Road 26, from here to here,
but move to the side and point that.
from there to there is Road 26. You look at
Okay.
the width of the road here, divided down the middle, this is Road 26.
Okay.
That makes sense. Just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah,
When they did
okay.
these, they
Yeah.
only annexed half the road.
Correct. And
So
you
they-
can see on there just the 30 feet.
I mean, why didn't they just call it Road 26? It's confusing.
Because it's brush, technically in the brush city limits on that half. So I think they're required to have street signs that say,
Why can't you call it Road 26 in a development inside the city?
legal size road. It's not a county road if it's in the city. But look at the good side, we have a future name for it. If it's a particular road, it's already been done. Any other comments or questions for me?
Back to the HOA. So, as I read it, the Architectural Control Committee are three people, three individuals.
Correct.
And so even after the 60% fill-in, does it still remain just those three people that control the whole
Well, that goes back
HOA?
to my lack of clarity before, if they are the HOA or if they serve as kind of a subcommittee that does something specific to the buildings and things like that. It's not clarified in there. It's a short HOA document that begs a lot of questions when you're done reading it.
Okay. All right, well, is anyone else?
So the path to the school, was there any direction laid out, like it had to be so wide or anything?
Well, Tim is exaggerating. It's more than a foot.
When I saw that and I went over and looked, I thought, well, I was trying to find it and there was a car parked on it, the adjacent property. And I thought, well, how,
Yeah,
and
my-
plus it leads into, I think, a fence that's next to Chuck's.
Correct. Yeah, and so
I mean, you walk in and you hit a fence.
I think it's probably 4 feet wide is my guess, maybe 5. 5 is what it probably should have been, but it might be 4 feet wide. But if you look up there in that corner lot, just on the west side of it, that's it right there. So you can see it kind of just runs to the edge. And Chuck, I can't remember where your property ends, if it's just to the left of that, I'm thinking. But where it goes from there is then the school district property. And so easement would have to be obtained, and which can happen, but
It was a poor effort to put in a walkway for kids to go to school.
So it just was never completed from the edge of their property onto the school district property?
Correct.
So that needs to be a whole nother approval or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if the requirement, if it was in, like, that's the ultimate intent. I think the condition, I mean, was that they build something there,
Which
and that
they
was
did.
the extent of the requirement.
And if
so
nobody's
that was
using it, I would probably park on it too,
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could see why they wouldn't,
Yeah.
but, yeah, so. That makes sense. So it's just, it's started, it's just not completed because
Yeah, it has a long way to
Or
go.
it has some ways
enforced.
to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 7% of the way there as far as distance goes. It's a long way to the school.
Yeah,
I think we just need to hold the developer accountable for a lot of the stuff that he just hasn't.
Well, I think a lot of it needs to be updated,
Yeah.
it's all, It's, it's like he's, it's being piecemealed in at their convenience, whereas, I don't know, like you were saying, the whole project was supposed to have been filled in or completed in
7 years.
7 years. I think we need to look into that too. I mean,
So, yeah,
that's,
if we don't have an extension on that, then I think we should
yeah,
update it and require some open space and, like we do in the other subdivisions, because this is
Yeah.
really tightly packed
Looking
in
at
there.
that, the public ground that you can have.
Yeah, there's no playground or anything for the kids or open green space or,
yeah.
Tyler, do you remember if this area has sidewalks throughout it or no sidewalks?
I haven't been out there.
I don't think there's any.
Yeah, it just-
I don't think there,
I don't know. I want to say yes, I don't know why we would have approved it.
Yeah, there's sidewalks.
Sidewalks, but they're small railroad, sidewalks. It looks like there are some, yeah.
Okay.
On both sides of the road?
12-inch concrete.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just comes off these people's driveway, which is kind of stupid.
The driveway's up against the easement, I guess, and, I don't know. Okay, well,
So, I guess my question is, like you were saying that on the second phase, they were required to put in an all-weather cul-de-sac, which was never done. And so how do we police that? I mean, how do we keep up with
yeah,
things that are supposed to be done that don't get done? That,
sure.
like the as-built I was talking about,
Yeah, the changes that happen and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there could be a lot of answers to that question. I think that'll happen because of transition between Karen and then
Yeah.
me leaving and then Rick coming in. And that's when all that happened right there.
okay.
So I guess
All got
there was no one around to enforce it in that sense.
Covenant
Well,
for a term.
yeah, I think there's some things that need to be looked into, in my opinion, just to make sure that we're updated on everything.
So this, in Article 4, Section 3, the covenants and restrictions of this declaration shall run with and bind the land for a term of 20 years from the date of this declaration is recorded, which was 2001. And then, after which time they shall be automatically extended for successive periods of 10 years.
Yeah.
This declaration may be amended by an instrument signed by not less than 75% of the lot owners. So that's more the HOA covenants and stuff. Does that have to do with the plat planning, or is that more?
Just the covenants.
The
yeah.
covenants of,
Yeah, so they're good for 20 years and then automatically go for another 10
Another
years.
10 years.
And then another 10 years.
so that's more the,
What about the big development that's supposed to be just south of here? Is that just not anymore? Or?
Yeah, nothing's taken flight yet. We were talking about that briefly before you came in.
Okay.
Yeah, the plat's been approved, so on paper, those are the lots. It's been subdivided, but no public infrastructure's happened. And then the big catalyst for it all is the subdivision improvement agreement for all the curb, gutter, roads, everything, sidewalks. And that expires after 2 years unless the city wants to extend it further.
So we think that guy's still working to try and get it done, or?
He's working to try to get someone to buy it from him to take it forward.
got it on the market.
But, yeah, just the market being what it is, the cost being what they are, it's, yeah.
Okay, so the applicant is not here or on remote?
If he's with us, he's just watching on our live YouTube, and so there's no interaction that we have. set up
Okay.
with him.
So can we ask if he would like to say something, or are we able to do that?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not
I
a
mean,
hearing.
you could ask him, but there's no way for him to do that.
Okay, I
Want to
didn't,
make that clear, like, no.
I didn't know if he was on a cell phone or something that,
No,
okay.
not that we
Okay.
coordinated.
Right. Does anybody else have anything, comments or questions?
Oh, playgrounds, like other developments, they're required to have playgrounds or amenities. We might think about that piece too.
Yeah, and I know on that, one of the, and this came up with Westwood, granted Westwood is a lot bigger than this one, but there's a big playground just right over there at the school that one of the kids walk to as well.
So it's even more important to have good sidewalks.
So, yeah.
Use their stuff.
Let's agree with that.
Which, yeah.
That's a good trade-off.
Yeah, we work to get a path that actually goes to the, if they're gonna use that as their
Yeah.
playground, they need to maybe have a path that goes to it.
All right.
But if that wasn't in the initial requirements and those still apply, then there's not a whole lot we
Correct.
can
Yeah,
do.
it's like they just assume they're responsible for the part of that that was on their land.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's just it, it's on the school district's property, so.
Yeah, the school district. could
Even
do
if they
something.
paid to put it in, then who does the snow removal, and it's
Mhm.
gonna turn into a whole deal.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
you require them to put sidewalks on the school property.
All right, I'll be on standby right here.
Okay, all right. So, if we have anybody from the audience that would like to say anything?
Just a couple of questions, if I may.
Sure.
Chuck Miller, 26060 Road S, property adjacent to the north of this subdivision. Where are they at in their development now, and what's the proposal?
So the proposal is them developing those lots,
In there?
and that's as far as it's gotten.
And that street's not developed yet,
Correct.
okay? And they have approached me for the additional access, Mr. Chairman, and they didn't stick to their word on the original access, and so controlling the access there, I don't know what would transpire for me to agree to a new access. I don't have any idea.
Are you talking about access to Road 26 off of
Yes.
Jennifer?
I have to cross my irrigation
Because you have
ditch.
the ditch there.
Yeah.
And when I agreed to letting them cross the irrigation ditch on the north entrance, there was a set of guidelines put together that we agreed upon, standing on the ditch bank. And the next day, they threw a culvert in and covered it up with dirt. And now the city has to maintain that culvert. They've spent money fixing it and maintaining it each and every year.
What happens? Well, I mean, what fails or?
Well, it fills up with dirt, it wasn't put into grade, and it doesn't work.
Do you have any documentation for that agreement that you might be able to provide the city?
Do I have documentation?
Yeah, like what the agreement was on what was supposed to be there,
Oh, sure, I do.
because that might be something we can hold their feet to the fire on.
They were supposed to do an engineer study and put in the proper culvert that would transport the proper amount of water needed.
Okay.
And that's basically it in a nutshell, and then we'd approve an engineering study and agreement, and it'd have to be built to that, and there was nothing done. They threw the culvert in the ditch, covered it up with dirt.
Well,
Excuse me.
this phase would not include any access, but as far as, future goes, yeah, that should be looked at if the first one didn't pan out like it was, function like it was supposed to.
Can we require that the road be finished out in this phase? Because, I mean, they're gonna have to bring that, I don't remember what's there, hold on. So Beth Drive's not there at all, correct? Beth Drive isn't there?
No.
So just gravel, right?
The only thing that's there is the water line.
I say in this phase, if we have the ability, we'll require them to finish the roads. That takes care of the roundabout they didn't do at the end, the cul-de-sac. And then it doesn't create a bottleneck if they just get cheap and decide to end it at that little blue mark on the left side there. And then that might be where we can hold their feet to the fire on the ditch a little bit, on that top one, and make sure it's done correctly.
Well, I'm not in any way, shape agreeing to giving it access in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Even if it was an engineered access?
It'd have to be quite a proposal that left me in total control to agree to an access. Because I can just fill you in on a number of things that were done over there. May I borrow this?
Please.
But up here, how do you get that?
It don't show on the
Go
screen.
back and forth on the,
I'm sorry.
did I turn it on? Yeah, just the arrows on the left and right there.
Oh, but the pointer doesn't
The
work.
pointer doesn't work on the
Oh,
screen.
the pointer doesn't show up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
I'm
that
sorry.
turns out a different slide.
So, back to your developer, on your north side up there, you've got a utility agreement drawn into this. And all of those lots on the north side, all built out onto the utility, over the utility agreement. There's buildings on there, there's only 2 lots that the fences are built outside of the utility right of way. And so when you have all your high-speed internet or whatever you called it, that 5 companies that come into the city of Brush with internet services, that's where all the problems came, of them coming on my land and burying cable and trespassing, had no idea what was going on until they were out there doing it. So we had major problems. And the reason that they did that is because they didn't want to have to go under the buildings or move the buildings that are all built on the utility easement. And so your builder, your developer hasn't done any of that stuff and hasn't been a neighbor in any way, shape, or form. You've already got too small a street. The amount of the traffic that is trying to flow in and out of there is absolutely atrocious. And the amount of trash that is dumped in this prairie road is unbelievable. I pick it up every spring, and I maintain the property clear to Highway 34, just because that's my ditch, and I try to keep the weeds down and keep them up. But I have to go through there several times a year and pick up beer bottles. Every time I go to mow, I gotta go pick up beer bottles and beer cans, and yes, I did put a trash can out on the corner of the driveway, right there, that said, for the Miller Light drinker, please distribute your empties, because there was at least a 6-pack a week into the barrel pit. So, it's just created some major problems, and the developer, I don't believe the type of developer that we're happy to be proud of to be associated with the town of Brush. Because you have, pardon my French, a bovine fecal matter hole there.
Chuck, were you there when the fiber optic companies were coming on your property and?
Well, the first one, my wife called me and said, "You know what the guys are doing in our pasture?" And I said, "No, I don't." And I came home, and they had bored, and they had dug out each one of the pedestals that are along here. There's 4 pedestals, and they dug out from my side, and they bored their pipes, underground pipes, on my side, and then went into the pedestals and were dug into there. And just because there was buildings in several of these lots that they didn't want to go under.
So they were outside the utility easement?
They were on my property.
They were not in a utility easement?
No, they were on my property. So I offered to develop a utility easement, and for $50,000, I develop a utility easement on my property and leave them there, and they'd be in it, and they chose not to. And they just abandoned it, everything's left there, they abandoned the thing, and then another company came in without my knowledge, and we didn't see them, and last winter, those lines rose and exposed on my property. And when I went out there in the spring, this spring to mow, I hit the one cable with my mower. So I started pulling it up, and there was about 70 feet right in this area where they had come out onto my property and then went back in to the development. And yes, I got a settlement from them. And they tore theirs out and redid it, and I gotta sell it.
What did they do, where did they put it when they tore it out? They couldn't have done the first.
They
one.
went in the utility easement because they were just, there wasn't any buildings. They'd come in and then went out on my property and then came back in again. So then they went in the backyard in the utility easement.
So they kind of could have done it right in the first place, they just thought it'd be easier.
Well, they didn't know what to do, but they did settle. Now, the whole problem is the developer didn't stick to the plan and require the fences to be built in the proper place and leave the utility easement open. That's the problem.
You can build a fence on the utility easement, it's just you run the risk of it being taken down for utilities to be put in.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Any utility company has the right to.
And if you put in a storage shed back there and they need to move it to get access, they have the right to do that because you put a shed on a utility easement, which is a no-no.
And on, I believe it's lot 10 there, you might want to go look at what's all going on there, because I'm sure there's a lot more going on there than was ever permitted. And the amount of trash that I have to pick up on my property that gets thrown over the fence by kids and all the other type things. And then you're right, this here has never been completed, and I believe that this house is a rental house because it keeps changing who's living there. And they figure out real quickly that it's much easier to come through my property and park on the backside of there in exactly where you were talking than to come in back there and drive down here and try to find a place to park in this corner.
How do they get in?
How do they get in?
Oh, from the disc golf course?
We've seen some come across that way.
Really?
Now, there's a road, the original access to this property was on the east side of my property and coming right down here. This was the original access into the property and out to Mill Street. And that's when they decided they wanted to develop this and they wanted an access out there instead of using this one. Now, the school district put some gates up on the access road, and they're closed. So people drive in on my property and go back there. And when we have soccer and flag football at the school yards, yes, I house 20 to 50 cars a night on my property, which is fine, I don't care, as long as they don't throw their trash. But when I have to start picking up trash, then that's when it gets a little frustrating. So just the whole design there wasn't done properly, and there is a road to this development that sits between the school property and my property.
And who owns that?
I understood it to go with this piece of property. I understood that's how Mr. LaFever sold that piece of property, is with that access.
So that access actually dumps into lot 13, I believe, and that's actually
Yes.
owned by the developer.
Yes, that
So
access
it is
dumps
a
into lot
a
13.
rental house probably, because it's owned by Homestead Meadows LLC.
So why aren't they using that road? Is that what's gated off, or you said there's an
That's what
access? That's what the school district gated off.
When I built my fence there, I stayed inside. I could have went out 6 more feet to my property line, and then the road's out further, and when the school got developed, it developed right up basically to the little 2-track that I have there. I spray it, I mow it, I take care of it. But, it's just the developer has not taken care of business. Thank you for your time.
Well, sounds like we need to talk to the developer, because if they don't have permission to make another access, that might shut the whole thing down.
Well, and I think if there's things that have not been completed from the other phases in a
Yeah.
appropriate manner. They need to be addressed before we approve
Yeah,
But I don't
anything
think,
else moving
yeah, we
forward.
need to, yeah.
I don't think it would be prudent of us to allow more houses to be built there when there's no second access. And possibly not ever having a second access. So I think they need to get that part figured out before we do too much more with it.
But Chuck, I don't think that you can deny access to a property to cross your ditch is, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but it seems to me that,
I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
It's ditch law that goes way, way back to the 1800s.
But if they were willing to accommodate you with a design that would work for access, is that something you might be able to work out, or?
Well, with the development to the south of there, I agreed to looking at something, and then they came to me with something in writing that gave me zero authority to have any input. They just came to me and told me how it was going to be done. And there was an engineering firm that came to me and didn't have confidence that it would work after they engineered it. And so therefore,
Well, is there a city code that has to be met for that type of a crossing of a ditch? I mean, you would think that there would be a code or either, something that you would have to meet in order to.
That's for their attorneys to figure out, in my opinion.
so what the problem is with my ditch is I have to keep running my water to have the historic use. And if I ever want to develop my place, I'm going to need my share of water to deal with the city. So I've got to keep running my water, and it's really, a nuisance to have crossings over the ditch, because it requires then a lot of hand digging and a lot of hand cleaning. I could no longer burn the ditch in that area to maintain it, and it's just a real nuisance. And so I should be properly compensated for the type of things that go there, for the amount of nuisance that I have to put up with, and no one's willing to do it. So I just shut down and said, I was a nice guy to begin with, and I got a slap in the face. Second time's my fault, first time's his.
Okay, well, anybody else have any questions for Chuck? All right, so, I guess there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'll take all the comments. If the applicant's not listening right now, then I'll encourage them to watch the video so they can hear everything for themselves. Have discussions on some of the questions and concerns and see where they want to take it from there. And if you see me again, it's because they were able to work out some of these details that matter most, I guess. And
Hopefully they can. Make it hard.
So at this point then, where does this go?
He just talked to the developer about what we discussed, our concerns.
Okay.
yeah, and he'll make that determination if it's something that he wants to continue to take forward, or if he puts his hands up and says, nope.
Okay. All right. Very good. So does anyone else have anything else? I think that was the last thing on our agenda.
That's all I got.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, I'd accept
I'll
the
move
motion.
we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
We moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
I didn't like that 25% of the people in the room